everybody. Welcome to She Is Strong. I'm Karen Lynn Pierce, and I have all these amazing women here with me tonight to talk about Matthew 22:37 through 39. But first, I want to introduce you to everybody. Again, I'm Karen Lynn Pierce. I am the founder of She Is Strong, but also I am a mom. I'm a Lolly. I'm married to Kane. I have two beautiful daughters, two amazing son-in-laws, and my best friends in the whole world are Addison and Harrison, my grands. I also have 9 brothers and sisters and 9 bazillion nieces and nephews, and I'm so grateful and humbled that God gave me the gift of this, that we can bring this show to you. I know tonight you're going to get something out of it. We know that every woman here, it was on God's calendar for her to be here, and whatever they're going to share is out there for you so that you can learn and get to know Him better and how He gets us through these things and leads us to where we are today. But that's who I am, and go ahead, Mamie.
My name is Leslie Venable, also known as Mamie. Gosh, I've got 6 kids, 4 great-grandchildren. Wow, I'm glad I'm here. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. We're excited about this, about a good message.
I'm Madison. I am a teacher. I just got married this past July, so I'm a newlywed, which is really fun. But I'm absolutely loving it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And yeah, that's it. I'm excited for tonight.
Hey, I'm Kelly. I am part-time mom. I have 2 beautiful babies. I have a son who's 7, Whit, and a daughter who's 5, Hadley, and then my wonderful husband. I work for him part-time, so I'm just happy that I have the extra time to volunteer and be at the church and be at the school and just enjoy all the things in this phase of life that we're in with little bitties and beautiful marriage and 12 years. So yeah, he'll be happy I said I think. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
I'm Jasmine Reese. My profession is an underwriter. I'm a management liability underwriter. But my passion is kids ministry. So that's my purpose job. So I get to lead kiddos every Sunday, and that's the joy of my life.
My name is Tracy. I'm a mom, a grandmother of 2. I have a 38-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son. I'm a paralegal, and Karen and I used to work together. So I'm really excited to be here, and I'm so glad she invited me.
Oh, I forgot. I'm a real estate agent too. I do that for a living as well. Yes, tonight Mamie's gonna read Matthew for us, and then all of us are gonna discuss what that spoke to us. And the main part of this that I want you guys to get out of it is the last 2 words of this verse. That's the main subject. So Mamie, go ahead and read the Bible verse for us.
Okay. Matthew 22, starting with verse 37. Jesus said unto him, and he was speaking to a lawyer, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. For this is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
So the last 2 words, as thyself, it was just revealed to me a couple of weeks ago, maybe last month. I was going through a little bit of a struggle week, and as I was going through that, Mamie, I'm so sorry. As I was going through that, Mamie called me and reminded me that those 2 words, loving us, that part where God, it was a commandment. It wasn't a suggestion.
Right.
It was a love me, love your neighbor as thyself. We're great women. All the women that I know are so good. We are so good at serving. We are so good at serving God. We are so good at loving our friends. If my friend or neighbor called me at 2 in the morning, I'm up. You can ask any of my friends. I am there. I will show up if I'm going to show up. The person I don't always show up for is me.
Yeah.
And as women, that is so important. And as Christian women, we start to think that's being selfish, but that is not what God told me, she said, have you ever looked in the mirror, dead in the eyes, and said, Karen, I love you? And I had, in all of my 50-something years, I have never had that conversation with myself. I've never looked and pet myself up in the mirror. And it just was so life-changing when I did it. I started crying and realized that, and I'm a strong woman now. I grew up with a strong woman. My mom is the strongest woman that I know. She was the first person I interviewed for She Is Strong. Her Bible sits on every episode, if I've never shared that. She is an example of a strong woman who lived through raising 10 kids, having grandkids, just everything you can think of. I grew up that way, and then I made a decision in my 20s that I knew more than God. That's what I thought. All of a sudden, I was so smart, and I went off on the road by myself. And like I said, in school, I was always close to God. I grew up in church. I loved Him with all of my heart. And when I decided I knew more than He did, He showed me that was wrong. I ended up making bad choices and ended up on a road I didn't belong. And the enemy used that for the next 20 years. I allowed him to convince me I wasn't good enough. I wasn't any of the things that God told me I had to have. But I became like Adam and Eve, where you go and the shame comes and I'm gonna hide, which is so dumb. Like you can see, there was no reason. I ended up, all the decisions I made after that, I have 2 amazing daughters, but where I ended up in a marriage that it became, I was less than. I married someone who was not equally yoked, and I've never told the story of everything that happened. That was the other thing with She Is Strong. I'm supposed to talk about my stuff as well, not just hear your stories. And when I walked in on my husband with another woman, I wasn't broken. I was shattered into pieces. And then God took those ashes and started repairing my heart and my soul. And I'm so grateful now. When I look back, I want to go back and hug that girl. I want to tell her, you are good enough and you deserve more. And God didn't intend this for you. Now again, I made choices that needed to be there. And I knew what I was getting into when I did it. So I can't be mad at the person because he was who he was. And I thought I deserved that. I did not. Now I have the most amazing, beautiful, incredible women. Incredible women in my life. My daughters are everything to me. But I would not have ended up there where I am today without being shattered and broken. I think that God takes those pieces and He reforms you. And now I'm married to a man. Now I was by myself for a while. I was not good at picking, so I just stopped. And it was going to be the 3 Musketeers, me and my daughters, and we thought that was how it was going to be, and I was great with it. And then God had other plans, and He sent this incredible man into my life who now every anniversary He literally makes a rose out of whatever the anniversary is. So first year paper, second year wood, literally it's all I know. And so God took, and I wasn't looking, again, I was by myself. I did not intend for him to come into my life, and then God was like, I got this girl. Don't you worry. But I had to break. I had to get on my face before God. I had to start over. I had to forgive. So God literally aligned to where I was going through freedom. And during freedom, all this stuff comes at you because there are these layers. If you don't know about freedom, it's a Bible study and you all have to take it. I'm just saying. You undo layers. And this was one of the layers that I needed to reveal and come out of. And so the opportunity presented itself, weirdly enough, and that particular name came across my email that that's who I was going to have to do this deal with. And I literally fell out of my chair. It was like, how do I do that? And God said, write a card, say 2 things. I forgive you and thank you. And so I did. And I thought I was going to go in and I was going to meet her. And we were going to have, here, let me do this. And wasn't there that day because it wasn't about me meeting her. It was about me forgiving. And I don't know whatever happened. She never responded, and that's okay. It was about me doing that, not giving her something. Like I was like, no, it wasn't about me in any way. It was literally, it was about me, but it was about me letting that go. But also, I do thank her. Like, I got to redo my life. Like, I kind of had a do-over, and God sent this man who is the most amazing. He gave my daughters their wedding, and he adopted my youngest daughter, and now they name kids after him. Like, I have a granddaughter named Addison Kane, and then I have Meg's stage name is Megan Kane, and that's just God healing those broken places. But it also was I began to love myself when I got broke. I began to look in the mirror. I didn't even know about mirror work yet, but I know that when I was like, I'm going to be a woman that my daughters can look at and go, that's what, like, I want to be the example my mom was. I'm not going to ever be perfect. I'm not going to ever be shameless. I'm sure I'll make mistakes. I already did. But he's going to take that and turn it into something beautiful, because this life that I get to live every day, the fact that a person, who went through that broken path gets to do this. I mean, but he picked the Moses, and he picked the Joseph, and he picked the David, and he went to the woman at the well, went and did, you know what I mean? So if you're out there and you think, oh, we have to have this perfect life, he's going to use me if I have, no ma'am, no ma'am. I am a testament, because I am the broken road, but it's the road that he put back together and made it more beautiful than it could ever have been, and for that I am eternally grateful.
Well, look at the disciples,
There we
the
go.
men that Jesus surrounded himself with. They were very imperfect.
Oh, yeah.
And love thy neighbor as thyself. How did Jesus love them? In their humanness, in their imperfection, and he was 100% perfection.
And, yeah, sounds good.
He loved them with grace and mercy and kindness and compassion. He saw all of their broken parts.
Yeah.
Even the ones who didn't move well towards him.
Oh, for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the part that I've had to reflect on, that forgiveness aspect, and learning what forgiveness actually means. And forgiveness means different things for different people in their lives, and something that has come into my consciousness over the past couple of months is knowing the Peters versus the Judases. So they both betrayed Jesus, and he had grace for both of them.
Yeah.
One of them intended to betray him.
That's good.
The other one,
Right.
just by happenstance, and I that is something that, like, the whole loving thy neighbor as thyself, and like sometimes I was having a hard time with forgiveness with certain people, and I'm like, well,
Same.
wait a minute, do I forgive me?
Right.
Yes.
That's exactly
Yes.
right.
Like,
Yes.
how do I was having trouble having grace for people, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't have
good.
grace for me, so how can I extend that to someone else, but I don't have it for myself?
Right.
And if we want it from Jesus,
Yeah, that's it.
like,
Because we grieve him, literally. When we are at odds, or we have bitterness or anything with our neighbors or anybody, I mean, the same Holy Spirit that lives in us lives in them.
Absolutely.
right.
That's right.
So we are grieving the Holy Spirit because we are not in communion.
Well, I don't want that veil. They talk about the veil between us, and that's the thing that I learned is, like, I don't need a veil of her, him, them, whoever. And that's just one example, but there's different examples in your life where you're like, oh, I can blame this or blame that. But if I am holding on to anger, if I'm holding on to bitterness or jealousy, or oh, nobody owes me anything. God's died for everyone's sin, and if I can't forgive that, then how can he forgive me? Because he made her, he made him, he made me.
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always paint the picture of, like, you're holding that grudge against someone, and you think about a mother and a child. Somebody has something against your baby. Oh, that's
That's it, baby.
That is serious right there.
So imagine how God feels when you have something against one of his children.
Absolutely.
And we're the ones that have it against ourselves.
Exactly.
Like we have it against ourselves. We are the daughters of the King. We should be the head, not the
That's
tail.
right.
We are at the
Exactly.
table. We don't have to act like we're gotta have the crowns, or we're not. And if we just love him and look at him, that's all we have to
Yeah,
do.
and that's what drew me on this verse is, he's talking to the Pharisees, and they're saying, what's the most important? Well, love thy neighbor, love thyself, but love God was number one. It
Yes.
was love God first, and for me, there was a lot of supernatural ability to forgive certain people. And I got that going back to freedom. I was like, oh, I'm good. I don't think I need anything. I've forgiven them. Because like, really, I mean, in my mind, I forgave them. And then we go through it and I'm like, no, this isn't me, And then we get to a freedom conference and I was like, oh my gosh, they like brought someone up on the stage and I was just like, oh, I have that still. And just like, it just fell off. Like, it was completely supernatural that I forgave this person. And it's not a friend, it's a family member. So it's a little bit bigger than just a buddy who, said something not very nice.
Those are deep roots.
Yes, and so that really stood out to me is the tools for me to get there and the tools that I use from like going through the Bible and the stuff that they say, do this, do this, do this, pray, worship, fast. Fasting was huge. I don't think if I didn't do those things that God like gave me to come to Him with, that I would have gotten there. And I think the forgiveness and the freedom, once you get past that, then you can have, which I could always have the joy, but then you can have clear joy, and then that's built so much on my confidence of love thyself, because I didn't have any confidence in that until I kind of like stepping stone to that. And it took me, to Ephesians. In Him and through faith in Him we may approach God with freedom and confidence. So there's just so many times where you're talking about, like, I'm going to approach God with this, and learning to have the confidence through the tools that God gives us has been massive for me. And that's kind of what's led me to really like
So the tools that you
love
use
thyself.
to get there.
The tools that I use to get there are prayer, worship, and this is so simple but I didn't grow up in church. I mean, when I was little bitty, and then there was a big break. So reading my whole Bible, and then seeing how many times people fast, and then studying on fasting has been humongous, because I almost have to kind of humble myself before I can really love what God is doing and be confident in it, and be confident that whenever I am at my low, that this is great. Like, I'm gonna get closer to God right now. And then you get out of it and you're like, okay, like I've made it, and you're so grateful and so thankful. So that's like, that's yeah.
So for me, I'm trying to get better, but I'm an intercessor. I will pray for others, but when it comes to praying for me, I fall short every single time. So I have learned to. So I'm kind of like you. I'll talk everybody through their stuff.
So good at it.
I'll talk everybody through their stuff, but when it comes to me, I'm like, I got God. I'll figure it out, and I just never get to it.
Yeah.
So I have been really focusing on like dealing with me. So I'm a big pusher of God and therapy.
Yes, therapy is so good.
Because if I didn't have my therapist, I spend my time with God. I do. But a lot of times it's not focused on me, which I do need to be better about that. But the therapy aspect, it forces me to deal with it.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And even when I try not to deal with me, I have someone there to direct me to deal with me in a healthy way. And then also my therapist is Christian, so that's also a
That's
big,
key.
that is
big
key.
proponent in there.
It is what it is.
So your own thoughts, like, can you really get yourself out of it?
Yeah,
that's so helpful
really
to have
what
somebody.
it is. It really is what it is, because once you get in your own head, I know for me, it's easier just not to deal with it. Like, oh, that's messy.
That's
Like hot mess espresso, and then she's too much.
Yeah.
She's too much. But I'll talk about yours. Let's talk about
Me too. I'm like, I think something that helps me, like, with that aspect of me, is knowing who created me. Like, knowing that there's nothing too bad I can come to God with. There's nothing that I could say that He doesn't already knows in my heart. And I think, like, knowing who you are in Him and who He's created you to be, what He's chosen you for, is half the battle. Because we cannot love other people without loving God and loving you. You know, like if I don't know who I am in Him, that I'm a daughter, that I'm chosen, that I'm a miracle, you know, like that He set me here for something, that I wasn't just here for under the sun, whatever I wanted to do, but like I'm here to make a difference, you know, and I have an impact. And it's crazy to think about that, but sometimes that's what helps me through the worst days. It's like, well, God, like you really chose me. Like you really sat here and was like, she's great. I want to send her out of all the people you could have chosen. I was like, wow, like you really chose me. And I serve in kids too, like Jasmine, but it just makes me think like watching them grow up on that foundation, on loving God with all their heart, mind, and soul. They can love their neighbor because they love themselves and they love the Lord. And there's nothing like other than a firm foundation that they're set upon right now. And I think like that helps me so much, knowing who I am in Christ. And Psalm 139 helps me every day.
Somebody read Psalm 139.
Wow.
You have it.
Really? Y'all
marked
both have that?
literally right
No,
here.
it's on my wrist.
Is it really?
Yo, I got this tattoo. Yeah. No, I got this tattoo when I was 16 years old.
Oh,
Which
and
is
it's literally
ironic.
in front of my
Stop it.
notebook.
So, which is so ironic because I was like, when I was 16, like we didn't go to church as a family growing up. Like we just, you know, it was ball tournaments, all this stuff, all the time. So church was like not the picture, whatever.
Right.
And I was like, I don't want to get something crazy on my arm, you know, like something just dumb. But I wanted a
You know, when you
tattoo.
walking with God, when you
No, so I didn't
Really?
even know the Lord when I got it.
Goodness.
Yes, I
That's
just.
so good.
Yeah, so I was like, well, this sounds really good. I Googled it. I was like, what birthday should you put on your body? Literally. I kid you not. I was on Google. And I put it right there. And then so much stuff, I was like, oh, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And when I started following God, He was like, I handcrafted you. I made you. I knit you in your mother's womb. I knew you before you came out. Like, you're my daughter. And I was like, oh, like, how perfect is it that you put this on my wrist? So every day I wake up and I'm like, yeah, you're right. I can do this.
Yeah, that is so good. I'll read. So, like, what Madison was talking about, that's Psalms 139:13, starting at verse 13. For you created my innermost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know them full well. And that verse, oh man, it has shown up so many times in my life. So I know, so when you hit 30, something happens to you. You kind of go through like a real life crisis, especially when you're 30 and you're not married and you don't have kids and you really don't know what's happening like in your life, and you're figuring out this purpose thing, and like God was changing things up for ministry. It was just a lot of stuff happening. So I remember it was the eve of my 30th birthday, and I was like, I'm just gonna stay up and I'm gonna pray for this thing. And really lament a little bit. So I was up and I was praying and I was crying. And I literally like, I'm just gonna flip open my Bible. So I flipped open the Bible and it landed right here and it landed on that verse. And I was like, come on, God. I was like, you got me all the way together. Like He knew that this moment was gonna happen right now. And like even more so, like it comes together. Like even today in Summer Blast this week is our vacation Bible school at church that we've been serving at. Well, me and Madison have been serving at. Yes.
We're all tired.
Yeah,
God's got.
but sitting there watching those children, like our lesson today was Jesus won the battle for me, and just like thinking about what Jesus did and what God did and what He planned. But not only that, like how we should love ourselves, because how loved are we? Like it is not by happenstance we are here. Like if you know anything about science or anything, for a child to come into this world is a miracle. And to think about how many people had to be born for you to get here, it's like that is wild. So how many people had to be born? And like it literally hit me on the stage, and like I literally like I'll talk about me preaching. I was about to preach today, it was going to come out, but I had to keep it short because I was just sitting there thinking like God put me here for these kids. But how many people did He have to put together on, not just put on this earth, but like they had to meet each other and fall in love with each other to have other people so that I could be here, so that those kids can hear the gospel.
That's right.
And how much more like does He love them that He did all of that just so they can hear the gospel? So why do I struggle with loving myself?
Wow.
Yeah.
I love you
on that,
already.
listen.
What did you say?
I said I love you already.
Oh, yeah.
No, for
yeah.
real, I do. Every time I see you, like, sorry,
That-
I'm interrupting. No, this is just a compliment to Jasmine, like,
Please
for
do.
real. I adore you. Every time I see you, like, I'm a cry, but leading with you is a gift because
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you radiate just the most peace and confidence and joy I've ever seen. Being around you is like a breath of fresh air. Like you're amazing, and I'm so thankful that you're part of our ministry.
And that needed to be said.
You're awesome.
Isn't it funny how, like, you're in this confidence conversation and you feel like you're not very confident in your own,
Yeah.
and that's the devil. I mean,
Amen.
you were here because people pointed you out, and
Yeah.
what you just said about her
You were set apart.
is so sweet, and that's how she feels about you. And you don't feel that way. Well, I mean, you know, maybe you do today, maybe you don't tomorrow. I
Right.
totally understand that.
Sure.
Yes.
And on the flip side, when you turned 30,
Mm-hmm.
and I had kids, but I had no purpose. I didn't think I had a purpose. I was like, right, holding blobs, which I love kids and my babies, but I was like, holding blobs, is this really my purpose? And then, like, what it's come to now has been, okay, I don't have like one big purpose, like you have an amazing purpose with kids, but like mine in this space was keep these kids alive. And then and this space is support my husband through creating a business.
Yeah.
And through this phase now I'm actually able to like use what I am like studying to talk to people. But I didn't have that when I was 30, you know? But anyways, yeah. So.
That's perfect.
You know, I was reading on down. I went to 17, and this is one of the things that helped me. For you that are struggling with telling yourself that you love yourself, this is God, you know, the Creator, the one that gives you breath every day. He said, "How precious also are thy thoughts unto me, oh God!" Exclamation point. How great is the sum of them. Well, if I should count them, well, they're more than the numbers of the sand. You know, we got a lot of sand.
Yeah.
When I awake, I'm still with you. The greatest thing really is when he thinks about us, I believe, now see, I'm to the point now, because after I learned to forgive myself, because everything they said, I'm living it now. Because it's a progressive thing with me, because we all have situations, circumstances, and sometimes it knocks the breath out of you. So if you've had the breath knocked out of you today or this week or this month, or, you know, if it's been death, sorrow, sickness, whatever it is, you got somebody, the great I am, the one that told Moses, I am that I am. You got him saying, my thoughts about you are precious. And when I do the mirror work, if you don't know about that, you can text or email.
Go to Facebook. On our Facebook page, we have Facebook and YouTube. Mamie has Monday Motivation. Mamie's Monday Motivations.
Love
And
that.
she tells you about mirror work. So go, you can just get videos and you'll find it and she'll talk to you and you're gonna want to listen to what she
Listen, let me tell y'all something. If you don't do anything else for yourself, because it was told to me a long time ago, and we didn't give our ages, but I'm 70. I'm the elder right here.
She's
Right
our
now.
Naomi.
Yeah. But listen, if you don't do anything else, find time to look at yourself and you tell yourself, number one, how much you love yourself. Number two, that you are really, and it don't matter whether you're saved or lost. I'm talking to women. I'm talking to whoever's on this, and you didn't get here by happenstance.
That's right.
God loves you so much, just like Jasmine said. He went through a lot of folk to get me here.
Yeah.
He's kept me alive when I should have been dead. Every one of these can probably testify to that.
Yeah.
We got two over yonder that I know for a fact. They behind the scenes, they're the gurus in this. But see, the Lord God has specifically designated this time. He wants you to learn how to love yourself, because He's madly in love with you. He loved you so much that He gave His Son.
Yeah.
Now, I ain't never given my son. Now, I love God, but if He called, listen, if He called tonight and said, Leslie, I need you to give your son, I'd say, oh, wait a minute, let me get back to you on that. But
Oh, no.
he didn't. He said his only. He did, and he did it for all of us, but he did it for you too.
Yeah.
He wants you to love yourself. He wants to save you from your own self.
Yeah.
That's right.
And people says, well, when I first heard that, and a lady, a minister told me,
Yeah.
she patted me and whispered to me. Thank God she whispered and didn't tell it out loud, because I would have went under the chair. She said, Sister Leslie, the Lord's going to save you from yourself. And I said, and I looked up at her because I was sitting down, and I said, is something wrong with me? I actually asked the minister that God told to tell me that, is something wrong with me? Yes.
Yes.
I didn't love myself. So how you gonna give what you don't have? He wants you to have, and when it was 4 times he mentioned in the verses we read in Matthew 22, all. Well, I looked up the word all. All is all. It means all the way in. It means all the money, all the blessing, all the resources, and that's just that's the kind of God we serve.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's
He's
right.
good. If somebody's told you, well, you don't know about God, one day he's good, one day he's bad, that's a lie.
Right.
You're not going to find it. I've looked, I've searched it because I was brought up that way. Well, I don't know if I mess up. Well, you're going to mess up.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not perfected yet. We're getting more perfected in love
That's right.
because that's what covers the multitude of sins.
Yeah.
And love fixes a lot of stuff. So if you get you first, the first time when I did that, I was like Karen. I stood there and I thought, I love myself. I love you, Leslie.
It was very weird.
Now, see, I told them last time on this other videos, I said, I'm buying more mirrors. I want to be able to go throughout my house and look and say, you know what, God's in that girl. God is in me. And he's in every one of us. Well, we just met, and I haven't met these ladies till just a minute ago, but see, we're in communion here.
Yeah.
We're a family. We're called the family of God.
Yeah.
We're SIS.
We are.
And
It said so.
yeah, we are. And we're doing it. We're on a mission. We're here to get you.
Yeah.
We want you. We want you to have what we got. That's
I
why
don't
we're
know
going
if y'all
through
have
this.
noticed this or not, as we've been sitting here talking. The intertwining of 2 words. Love and forgiveness.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It has been said more than
Yes.
once, just sitting here,
Yeah.
forgiving ourselves.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Love yourself,
Yeah.
not, I'm just
Yeah.
the greatest.
Me,
Yeah.
me, not
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
I'm accepting myself for my
Yeah.
own faults.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
I've got grace.
I
I've
know
got
grace.
mercy. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have compassion on
Yes.
myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And until I can do that, how am I gonna do that for somebody
That's
else?
right.
The common sense of the Lord.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
So what are your tools? How do you do it?
That
You've
was
been through a little
that-
bit.
a
You've been
little.
through, y'all don't know all of Tracy's story, but she's got a good one. She went through a little something.
That was a daily practice of accepting myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In 2008, I had a full hysterectomy, just medical problems. Let's take care of this. Did not want synthetic hormones. And I chose to go the bioidentical route because it was a full hysterectomy. In 2018, I was diagnosed with stage 2B breast cancer. It was estrogen dominant. So after chemo and radiation and surgery and all the things, and the damage that chemo causes, it causes a lot of problems. They also took my hormones away from me. So, the changes at my age in my body, the short-term memory loss, the hearing loss, and the vision loss from the chemo, your hormones being completely out of whack and you can't do anything about it, and learning to adjust and accommodate and accept yourself for over all of your downfalls,
Right.
all of the things that change. That was a daily learning to accept myself just the way that I am. And it's been 6 years now, and it has been a 6-year journey, and I'm good with myself. It's been hard, but I'm good with myself. I am able to extend grace and mercy to myself that I would not have prior to all the things that I have been through. And I think I like myself better now
Oh, absolutely.
than I did.
Yeah.
Even with all of
Yeah, with the stars.
the battles every day, with the changes that have taken place, I like me better now
Oh, yeah,
than I
absolutely.
liked myself
Yeah.
10 years ago.
That word all comes into play, practice all things.
Yeah.
All
But
things.
she uses all things, every situation, all the things, and that's kind of my mama's story, but I have a similar story with hormone women, and we have so many things.
So
We have
so
many things, from hormones, just everything, anything, bodies breaking down. When you get older, things start changing, and
Yeah.
nobody talks about it. Like, you know,
No,
nobody,
they don't.
nobody
We
tells
are,
you.
we're talking about it right now,
So
let
I'm
me tell you.
literally like, you know,
Yeah.
I get older and I start talking about it. My mom was like, you know, I did have that problem when I was. And I'm like,
Thanks for telling me, Mom.
well, now I'm 30, great to
warning.
know. I mean, you should have
Yeah.
told me that this was a thing. Like,
Yeah.
and like even like going back and looking at like, so my great grandmother, she had multiple sets of twins, but it turns out like, you know, it's like a genetic thing where they say that like hyperovulation kind of runs in families, you know, where people who have lots of twins.
Okay.
Which kind of leads down to like my struggles with like
Causes
PCOS
some
and all
problems.
things
Yes.
like that. And I'm like, why haven't we been talking about this? And I've just been out here trying to
Just
figure it out.
out
on
here
my
figuring
own.
it out.
And you know, with women and hormonal struggles, that leads to like body image struggles because our weight's
Yes.
going up and down.
Yes.
Like, you know, our hair is changing and our skin is changing, all those things, and we're trying to balance all of that. And then like going through all of that, in my life, I've never really had like a self-confidence issue. I've always been confident, but it's like receiving compliments is hard. So
Oh, yeah, you laugh them off, or.
you do.
Or just like, no,
Yeah.
that's not me, or don't accept,
Yes.
and that's not,
That's not how we were created.
and
to
what are
be.
we teaching, what am I teaching my granddaughter, what am I teaching my daughter?
And we have an incorrect definition of
Yes.
humility.
Yes,
Oh, yes, we do.
And I believe that's a
Something.
generational curse.
I agree 100%.
So I've literally
Wow.
like having to like break that off of myself because, you know, you're pretty, but don't flaunt it, don't be too self-absorbed. But no, God is telling us like, no, I made you this way.
I am beautiful.
Like, stretch your stuff.
Yes.
Like, I created you. You are a fine creation. I crafted you.
Right.
Like, shred it. And I struggled so much. And literally, it took my campus pastor telling me, like, I struggled. Like, people would call me beautiful all the time. And I won't even like, I would get mad. I'd be like, what do they want? Like, in the lobby,
You are so.
like, what do they want? And
Tell them.
like, I was literally like, what do you want from me? Because why are you complimenting? You obviously want something from me because you're telling me you're beautiful. And it took my campus pastor pointing out that I didn't understand that the beauty that they saw in me was coming from within me.
So,
That's
my
right.
God.
And that's something that I can stand behind. So
Yes.
now, when someone tells me I'm beautiful, thank you. Let me tell you how to get it.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. That's good.
So that has been a game changer. And when I tell you, like, my definition of confidence has changed. Because I used to think that, you don't want to be cocky.
Right.
And I knew who God had created me to be, but the enemy was trying to get me to dim that light.
Yes.
That's what I was
And that's
Yes.
100% it. The
Yes.
enemy will try to get you to dim your light by telling you, oh no, you can't show them this, or he'll make you feel like, oh, they're looking at you funny, or Like, why are all these people staring at you? They're looking at you because they see what God is working on the inside of you.
That's right.
So show it, shine it, keep going, and tell other people how to get it too.
That's good.
And like
That's good.
for a while, it was like, oh, you're too much. Don't be this loud. Get smaller. Those were words that were coming at me. Like, you're not, go smaller. You're too much. You're too loud. You're too much. But whenever you finally just accept,
Yes.
Yeah.
if I'm not enough, find us. Like God made me, and you can find more in Him, and it's not even us. He created us. He made us beautiful. This is anything that's a compliment is His work.
Yeah.
It's not even about us. You know what I mean? Like He picked my eyes and my hair and my personality and my. You can hear me across the room. He made me. I can't help. And the great thing was that He took those tools, and I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
So you kind of have to have a, you know what I mean? Like He knew what I was going to do one day. So all those things that other people may think are negatives, no, ma'am. Those are your gifts. Those are what
Absolutely.
you're supposed to shine. We literally created this so that we can take light into the dark places.
Yeah.
If we're not shining, how are we bringing light?
That's right.
We're not. They need light.
Yes.
And we need to be the moths that, like they're the moths and they come from light. And I'm not seeing like us, He's in us. The Holy Spirit is inside us.
Absolutely.
That's it.
That is what we have to get across to the lost out there every time.
And that we're also sinners.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
my
Amen.
biggest
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
We are not.
Is a lot of people, they put that on a person who is shining a light, and then the person, every person is a sinner,
That's right.
and then that person sins, and oh no, that's not what I thought that was, or whatever. And that's a good step, like for those that don't believe or those that do believe, like just don't put confidence in yourself and be the light, and then give people the right tools. I say tools a lot.
It's a perfect, you got
Yeah.
the tool belt, you have to use it.
Give them the right tools to take that and go on their own, and the smallest of things, I started going just to church on Sundays. That's all I did. And then when I didn't go to church, maybe I just listened to a little worship music, and it was a slow progression for me. And it was, or someone that I barely saw, said something positive, and that was the light that I was drawn to. And then God gave me the curiosity, I think, to go and kind of see more. And everything in my life has been really progressive. But if you are now on the other side of things, which I feel very confident that I am, being the light towards somebody and then helping them get there is very important.
Keep encouraging them, keep them.
Yes.
I like wherever I go. If I'm at Dollar General picking up something, if I go to the drive-thru, I lock eyes with them. I make them look at me. I smile because you don't know the life they're leading.
Yes.
That might be the only smile. I love your hair. Oh, your nails are great. It is 1 second of kindness.
I've never had to
But
scoff
that's a
for
way
being
of love.
kind.
Yeah.
But I'm not to scoff if I have a scoff,
Yeah.
It's really about following those inklings and those nudgings
Yes.
that the Lord gives us. But like you were saying, with the tools that we are sinners, and we thank God we've been redeemed.
Thank God.
But I think a lot of times too, sometimes we don't do a good job of like sharing where we came from. Like we show this nice polished package, and we don't. And so for the person who's coming in, like, oh my gosh, how did she get here? Like, she's been in her Bible, and like
generations.
like she came into this world like that. It's like, but
That was intimidating for me.
but that's because that's something that like I have really focused on. Like I lead women's groups and things, and like that
We
is my
share our
biggest.
weaknesses.
Yes,
It's
share
what
your
helps them. Like I
Yeah.
thought my story was like, oh, I could never tell that.
Wow.
Oh, I'm so ashamed. But it's so crazy how the worst things that ever
Yeah.
happened to me at that time, that was really traumatic. But also, oh my gosh, how many women can relate to that? How many women can relate to that? How many women are like,
Yes.
oh gosh, and you just end up teaching freedom, and it just happens so easy. No, ma'am. It's not. You had to, but
Yeah.
God told me when I started this, he was that point was so good of, you're really great at listening and helping and
Yeah.
encouraging, but
Yeah.
if you don't tell your story, shame on you. Like,
Yeah.
literally, that is a shame, like, that
Yeah.
is, those hard times, what we go through and what we've been through is how we can relate and
Right.
Right.
and it's
Yeah.
something I wear it now with an honor of, I went through this, but look what
Yeah.
happened after.
Yeah.
You went through what you went
Yeah.
through, but
Yeah.
look what he did with that. And he took cancer and something that you felt all those feelings about, and now, how many people's lives are changed because you probably share that story of what you're going through with so many people,
Yeah.
you know?
And I feel like comparison can be our worst nightmare. Like,
Oh my.
I feel
Yes.
like sometimes, especially in like my generation, there's so much out there to compare yourself to.
Oh, yes.
Whether it's like your mentor or another girl right beside you,
Oh my goodness.
or
yes.
somebody sitting on the couch with me, you know, and you're like, oh
Or
my
now
gosh, I
she
don't
can get on
look
it,
like
huh?
her. Yeah. Or you're like, oh, she's so much more godly than me. But like, I even struggle with that. Like me and my husband lost a baby in December, and so after that, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not a mom like her, or I'm not a, I don't look like her. Like I've got, you know, I've got this on me, or I've got stretch marks on me, or whatever. Like going to the pool was hard, you know. Easy, like
All of
little
that stuff.
stuff that did not used to matter to me suddenly was like so big. And I feel like comparison is your worst nightmare unless you're comparing yourself to the Lord, to
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's good.
Because the
That's
only perfected
Yeah.
one is
Yeah.
Jesus. And I ask myself every day, like, am I more like you? Like that's my ultimate goal, is am I like Jesus? Because ultimately,
Yeah.
like if I'm not like somebody else, so be it. You know, okay. You know, I struggle with that. But if I'm in the moment and I'm struggling with comparing myself to somebody, or if I'm on Instagram scrolling and I'm like, oh my goodness, she looks great, but I don't look like that. Or,
Yeah.
you know, her makeup, like, wow, I can't do that. You know,
Yeah.
something like that. And, or, oh my God, look at her sharing that word. Like, she's so good at that. But at the end of the day, I'm like, but I am who you say I am.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, you crown me with confidence. Like,
Yeah.
I'm undefeated because you conquered the grave for me. Like, I am who you say I am. I don't have to look to other people for confidence. I look to you. And the more I am like you, the more confidence I gain in myself. Because I'm like, oh, I'm like Jesus. Like, I'm portraying joy and patience.
Yeah.
Like, wow, what a great gift that is. It's such a great gift that I get to have the Holy Spirit in me. That I get to share joy, and I get the opportunity to show love and show patience. And so every day I hope, like, my ultimate goal is to love somebody like Jesus did. I hope I love you so much that you leave and you're like, she loves me. Like, I can feel the love.
Well, every time, I've only met you, but for like, we've known each other since Sunday.
We really have.
But the minute there was just this sweet, beautiful spirit radiating, and I was like, your brother-in-law was right. By the way, her brother-in-law was like, oh, my daughter-in-law,
She's great.
she is the mom. She has her personal hype girl.
Yeah, literally, she's
And
my
I
hype
love
girl.
it. But we all can be each other's, and then God is like the biggest hype. I mean, all you have to do is open His Word
Yeah.
to know. If
Yeah.
you ever wonder who you are, open the Bible.
That's it.
If you want to find out, don't go to your friends, don't go to your husband who loves you, or your boy, whoever. Nobody
Yeah.
knows you like God knows you, and He's the one that can encourage you. And that encouragement, that's a firm foundation. That's
Yeah.
something that is not going to be broken, and you're never going to fall from it.
Yeah.
I absolutely have loved every word that has come out of y'all's mouth. I am so thankful that you all said yes, and you are just as beautiful on the inside as you are on the outside, and that is saying something, because y'all are some pretty ladies. But I just do, I feel like that there are women out there now that everything that we've mentioned, there's someone who has gone through all of these troubles, hormones, and, you know, marriage troubles, and just life troubles. It's hard to look at the mirror, but what Mamie said, please say those words to yourself. Start your mirror work. Go and watch Mamie's video. If nothing else, but to hear Mamie in her soft, sweet voice and the way she speaks about God is, I want that. You know.
You know,
Yes, ma'am.
tell them, our audience, tell them your age.
I'm 23.
She's our 20-year-old.
23.
So this is for, because we're multi-generational.
Yes.
Right? That was what God told you.
God did tell me I'm supposed to pick new generations to talk. And hopefully you've seen yourself in somebody sitting on these couches. And we've all, that's why He did it, I believe, is that whatever you're going through, there's a different perspective when you're in your 20s than when you're in your 70s, obviously.
Absolutely.
But the great thing is that Mamie can learn So you are watch this
Yeah,
show
yeah.
and it hit you and you wanna reach out. If you're lost and you don't know this God that we speak of, we can't wait to tell you about him. He is our best friend, and he can be your best friend too. He died on the cross for there is no sin that he cannot forgive. Don't forget that. He loves you with all of his heart. And again, thank you so much for stopping by, for listening to the show. I hope you were inspired and encouraged. She is Strong was created to inspire and encourage women, to remind them of Proverbs 31:25. She is clothed in strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. And while we have all had struggles, we are laughing because he loves us. He loves you too. So do not forget that. We love you. Have the best week. Say bye, everybody.
Bye.